Hey guys, Simon from SM Designs with another official outerwear video. And this time we are super excited to be showing you a brand new product line, which is candy2o, dye-based candies. 15 colors, absolutely incredible vibrancy, super clean, and of course completely intermixable. Now, what's the difference between the old candies and new? Well, day and night really. The candy pigments weren't really a candy as you know, they were an ultra transparent, whereas the new candy2o is a true dye-based candy. Now, I'll warn you they're not for the faint-hearted, but in this video I'm going to show you how to tame them and get the most out of them. But in terms of the color vibrancy, they are just incredible. I must have used every candy out there in the last 23 years. I can tell you now guys, these candies will go head to head with anything in production today. Guaranteed. But first of all, we got to get things set up. So you want to spray between 25 and 35 psi, 35 being the maximum. That's kind of where I like to spray these candies. And it doesn't matter whether I'm using my mini gun, large spray gun, or even my airbrush. So I'm aiming around 35 psi here today. But what is crucial, absolutely crucial, is your gun setup. I cannot emphasize enough. You must get the gun set up for these candies. I'm just adjusting my fan adjustment valve. It's fairly narrow here. And what I'm doing is I'm opening up my fluid adjustment valve. Maximum fluid. You see coming out there? That would be a disaster for these candies. So I'm going to choke the fluid right in, okay? What this is doing is giving me a high air to paint ratio. I've got that 35 psi and I'm just opening up the fluid adjustment valve a quarter of a turn at a time. Guys, trust me, you need a high air to paint ratio for this to work. Now we're going to look at reduction. And the way to reduce the new candy2os is 40-30 intercoat clear. Now this is a brand new product we brought out. It actually works fantastically well with the entire outerwear line. However, it was specifically developed for the new candies and it's imperative that you use them. I'm going to show you a lot of reasons why you're going to use them shortly. But first up, we're looking at a typical 10% ratio. So I'm just taking some candy red here, and into that I'm going to put 10% of the new 40-30 intercoat clear. You can put a little bit more in to increase the transparency, but 10% is a good starting point. Now, if you do wish to reduce the paint further, you can just use normal 40-12, or you could use our new 40-20 automotive reducer. However, I would use this for airbrushing or really small gun fades. In general, when I'm spraying, I do not use any reduction whatsoever. In fact, I don't even recommend it. The 40-30 intercoat clear is the reducer for the new candies. Just laying down my first coat of candy blood red. And the first coat, guys, it is imperative that you do not get this too blotchy or too streaky. You could argue that's pretty important with any paint, but particularly a candy. And more particularly, a dye-based candy. So I've got that first coat on, and you see I'm going for that overall look. Just nothing too streaky, nothing too blotchy. And I'm coming in now with the second coat. The second coat, I can start to be a little bit more aggressive, okay? You could put a little bit more paint on. And you see already, even on that second coat, the color saturation starting to really increase now. I'm very conscious of an even fan pattern at all times. So you can see there's no blotchiness whatsoever, and that is the key to the candies. Starting into my third coat now. I'm going to be spraying everything here today with 4 coats. We recommend between 4 and 6 coats. That's really your discretion. Just whatever you want to go for, whatever look you're after. But the gun is completely set up for me here. I'm actually full throttle here on the trigger, but remember I've got that fluid adjustment valve choked in, so I'm always in control of how I'm spraying. Look at that color, and that's only 3 coats. This thing's just going to get deeper and deeper the more coats I put on. So I'm just coming in with my last 4th coat here. And again, very careful to get that fan overlap. As long as I get that fan overlap fine, we're going to look at that shortly, nothing can go wrong. The air pressure setup and the gun setup. I can just relax now and just keep even passes and just let these candies build up. So that's my 4th coat, my finished coat today. And it's only when this thing's clear coated that you're actually going to see the color. Guys, the color of these, it's just incredible. I can't, I'm so excited. I cannot describe the depth, the clarity in these candies. They're outrageous. Now, typical ground coat for candy is silver. I prefer aluminium base because they're so reflective and so bright. Typically medium and coarse. However, if I'm shooting over maybe like a red or magenta, on occasion I'll use metallic gold. However, 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, I'll go for a silver base. Now, if you're doing a large area like a complete, you might want to consider using the auto-born silver just to get it to kill really quickly and lay super flat. You don't need to, especially if you're doing helmets or bike graphics, things like that, but on a large scale, it could help you a lot. You may have seen some of my videos on how to apply the auto-born sealers, but check them out. It's just worth looking at, especially on huge areas. What I'm doing here is I'm just shooting it. Now I'm using a 0.8 gun for the purpose of this video. It's kind of unusual. With the sealers, I'm usually running a 1.2, 1.3 gun, in which case I would kill this panel in 1 or 2 coats. But I'm actually on my 3rd coat here. This is a sign that a friend of mine made for our shop here, and I'm looking to cover it really quickly. My throttle is absolutely wide open, fluid nozzle completely open here. I'm just trying to cover this in 1 or 2 very quick coats. That's what the aluminium sealer was designed for. It's not really something I would recommend as a ground coat for a candy, but here I'm using it as a standalone color. But as I say, if you are looking for a ground coat for a candy, you want to bring some bling to the table, then I recommend just putting 1 or 2 coats, in this case, aluminium medium, over the top of the sealer silver. That way you're getting the best of both worlds. You've got that coverage, and then you've got a little bit of bling over the top without any shadows in the sunlight. You've got perfect metallic orientation. You heard me talking earlier about fan overlap. Now we're going to have a closer look at it. Here I'm running a 50% fan overlap. What I mean by that is every time I make a pass, 50% of my paint is going on to the previous paint and 50% is going on to the panel. You see how controlled and measured this is? This is the only way to really spray a candy. Once you've got that gun set up and you keep that fan overlap down, you can see you can spray without any streaks or blotchiness. Now that I've shown you what to do, I'm going to show you what not to do. So I'm taking candy green and I'm putting in 10% of the 40-30 Intercoat Clear, and now into that I'm going to put about 20-25% of 40-12 Reducer. Why? Because somebody's going to do it. So I'm mixing it in here. The paint's obviously far too thin. Looking at my gun now, and I'm just opening up my fluid nozzle wide open, and I'm screwing my fan adjustment right in. You know it's going to be a train wreck, but I want you to see it just so you can see how quickly things can get out of control. So I'm laying it on. My range is good, but my fan overlap is too wide, and clearly the paint is traveling far too fast. It's too wet, the pressure's too high. The problem is this is catastrophic. Even if you were to figure out what was wrong and try and regroup on the second coat, you couldn't possibly fix this. This is a hull breach on deck 4. You cannot recover from this. And that's because of the nature of a dye-based candy. They are so ultra transparent that no matter what I do, no matter how many subsequent coats I put on after this, you're always going to be able to see those streaks and blotchiness. I'm just going back to the candy blood red panel I painted earlier, and I'm going to divide it into 3 1/3. And over the top of that, I'm just going to lay down 1 coat of 40-30 Intercoat Clear. You can put 2 or 3 coats on, but the truth is this stuff's potent and 1 coat is easily enough. What I'm going to do now is just take this out into my classroom, and I'm actually doing a demonstration here to show you how to counteract candy bleed or candy dieback. So I'm just using a 0.5 airbrush here. This is transparent auto air white, and I've got about, I'm guessing 30-40% 40-12 reduction in here. Candy bleed is very undesirable. What happens is whenever you clear coat the candy actually gets drawn up into the clear coat. And unfortunately, it brings every other color with it. It's notoriously bad when you're airbrushing white over red, hence the demo I'm about to show you here. Now if you take a look at this panel, particularly the top line, you can see how white the white is in the first third on the left hand side. However, there is a blatant pink shift on the two other thirds. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to backmask the last section here. And again, I'm going to come in with the 40-30 and put one coat over the top of that. So this is me trying to seal my artwork before I clear coat. So before I clear coat it, I'm just going to label the panel. And the left hand side had the 40-30 before I started my artwork, and the right hand side has the 40-30 after my artwork. The center has been completely untouched. I'm just coming in with one coat of clear here, pretty heavy. I'm actually, if anything, trying to encourage a little bit of paint creep just for the purpose of the video. And when you see the panel, it's quite shocking. You can see how much dieback has occurred. Now, if you look at the left-hand side, it's as is. It's virtually untouched. The white is completely crisp and clear. But when you look at the right-hand side, the last third, I've got a lot of bleed there. And you can actually see I've got more bleed than the midsection where I didn't put any 40-30 after the artwork. So the only way to seal this is to get that 40-30 on over the candy pre-artwork. Now, you remember I put 10% actually into the candy? You see the top panel here? I didn't actually put my 10% 40-30 into the candy. I just used reducer. And again, you see the whole thing has exasperated. Look at the white again, absolutely crystal clear. But if you look how much candy bleed back I occurred on the right hand side, that's because there was no 40-30 in before the artwork went on. Still on the theme of airbrushing, these are some helmets painted by one of my students, Ryan Burnside. Ryan has progressed into what I can only describe as a world-class helmet painter. He's done a really cool design for the Irish motocross team here, and he's used sparklescent mango and electric green. Now over the top of that, he's going to do some graphics in the candy2o, and he's using grabber orange and emerald green, and we've got about 50% 40-12 reducer in here, so they're heavily reduced to go through the 0.5 airbrush. However, it's worth noting that even though they have the reducer in there, they've still got the 40-30 intercoat clear. The intercoat clear kind of like puts the brakes on everything. It binds it all together. It'll certainly help in a situation like this where we're using stencils, and it will actually discourage paint creep and underspray. So even though there's quite a lot of 40-12 reducer in there, please always put that intercoat clear in there. And you can see he's got a really nice design. It's actually a pretty cool color in its own right. Hopefully this video will have answered some of the questions you might have about our new line of candy2os. We've sprayed out all 15 colors here for you guys, and they've all been sprayed with 4 coats at 10% reduction. For more information on our new candy2os or any of our other products, please visit our website autoaircolors.com. I'm Simon Murray and thanks for watching.